The night is quiet. The light is soft. Everything is slowing down. Nothing needs to be followed. Nothing needs to be held. You can simply listen. Chapter 1. The River Bank. A spring morning. Beside the river, the mole had been working very hard all the morning, spring cleaning his little home, first with brooms, then with dusters. His back ached dreadfully, and his arms were quite tired. But spring, you see, it was in the air above, in the earth beneath, threading its way through every last thing. It stirred something restless in the mole's chest, slipping through the walls of his little burrow into the quiet places of his heart. So when he flung down his brush and called out, "Bother, oh blow, hang spring cleaning," and bolted out of the house without so much as a hat, well, it was entirely understandable. Something was calling him. He walked along a narrow path through the soil, and presently before him a river appeared, glittering, unhurried. The water murmured softly to itself as it moved, like someone speaking gently in their sleep. The mole sat down on the grassy bank and simply watched. He watched the things that drifted past. He watched the water carry them away. After a little while, a voice came from the opposite bank. "I say, mole, how do you do?" It was the water rat, small, bright eyes regarding him warmly, a quiet, easy sort of face. "Would you care for a row? Jump in." The boat moved away from the bank with a gentle push, slow, slow, gliding across the water as if the river itself were carrying them. The rat said very quietly, "Believe me, my young friend, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, half so much worth doing as simply messing about in boats." The bank. A little after noon, the rat brought the boat gently to shore, secured the painter to a post, helped the mole clamber out. Then, from the bottom of the boat, he produced a most impressively large wicker basket. "Shove that under your feet. Now then, luncheon." The mole spread out the cloth, unwrapped parcel after parcel, cold chicken, cold tongue, watercress sandwiches, ginger beer, with each unwrapping a small sound of wonder. They sat together on the grass, and the rat talked of the river, of the fish, of the winter floods, and the summer shallows. In winter, the rat said, the river sleeps, but it does not die, it only sleeps. Come spring, it wakes again, with exactly the same face, sparkling away as if nothing had happened. The mole listened, watching the water. The soft sound of the current ran on and on. After a time, they simply sat. The rat dozed, one arm stretched across the grass. The mole watched the water. On his own, it moved so slowly. Reeds swayed at the edge. Somewhere in the distance, a mill wheel turned. He had never known a place so quiet. He had spent so long underground. Such open sky, such a long, unbroken stretch of water, such a soft, wandering breeze. All of it was new to him, and yet, strangely, he did not feel afraid. He felt rather as though he had come home. Evening, shadows lengthening on the water, when the sky had turned the color of apricots, the rat stirred and rose. Shall we be getting along? Yes, said the mole. He was reluctant to leave, but all of it, the whole of this day, lay warmly inside him like something carefully folded and kept. When the boat touched the bank, there were 1 or 2 stars out. The mole looked up at them. The lovely day, the day of days, was over. End of Chapter 1. Chapter 2. The Open Road. One afternoon, the mole and the rat were passing a quiet afternoon beside the river. The rat had a line in the water and showed no concern whatsoever at catching nothing. The mole lay in the grass nearby, watching the clouds drift. Then, in the distance, footsteps, brisk, cheerful footsteps. Hello, Ratty. Hello, Mole. Splendid to find you. It was Toad, round, cheerful Toad, with the brass buttons on his waistcoat, shining. I've got something to show you, something rather extraordinary. Come along. Just round the back of the house, behind Toad Hall, in the yard, there stood a yellow caravan, round-roofed, a little window in the door. Inside, a small table, a folding bunk, shelves holding plates and pots, kitchen, bedroom, sitting room, all in one. "This," said Toad proudly, "is the life, the open road." The dusty highway, villages, inns. We set off in the morning, stop when we please, sleep when we like. What do you say? The mole peeped through the little window. Inside, the air felt warm, somehow small but complete. A world to itself. The rat was quiet for a long moment, then gave a small sigh. "Well, perhaps just for a little while." And so, the following morning, they set out. The road, the caravan moved slowly along a country lane, creak, creak, the wheels settling into the soft earth. Tall grass on either side, white meadow flowers. Each time the breeze came through, the grass moved like water. A hill in the distance, one soft cloud. Above it, the mole sat at the back of the caravan, letting the countryside come and go. He had spent so long underground. To move like this, slowly, under such an open sky, felt something like a dream. At noon, they stopped under an oak tree. Bread, cheese, on the grass. A bird called, far away. The breeze turned the leaves. Above them, there was absolutely no hurry at all. Later, in the afternoon, from somewhere down the road came a distant noise, growing closer, and then a motor car, enormous, terribly fast, gone in a cloud of dust. Before they could blink, the old horse shied. The caravan lurched sideways into the ditch. Pots and pans clattered, parcels rolled across the grass. The rat and mole set it right, soothed the horse, gathered everything up. Toad stood in the middle of the road, staring into the distance. "Poop, poop," he murmured softly, as though the word were a prayer. "Poop, poop. Shall we start for home?" the rat said quietly, "the way home." Together, the two of them walked back across the evening fields. The sky, orange, violet. Far ahead, the glint of the river. When they came near enough to hear it, the soft, steady sound of moving water. Shh, shh. Something eased in the rat's face. Something eased in the mole too. They were home. End of Chapter 2. Chapter 3. the wild wood. Winter. Beside the river. Winter had come. The river ran darker and quieter now, and the willows had let go of their leaves. The mole and the rat passed their winter days in easy, unhurried comfort beside the water. One afternoon, the rat dozed by the fire. The mole sat at the window, looking out across the river. Beyond the water lay a wood, dark and deep and dense, the trees standing close together in the grey winter light. The wild wood, it was called. There was a name. The mole had kept quietly in a corner of his mind ever since the rat had mentioned it. Badger, the wise, steady badger who lived deep within that wood. That afternoon, while the rat slept, the mole put on his coat and slipped out alone. Inside the forest, at the edge of the wood, the trees stretched back as far as the eye could see. Dead leaves lay deep underfoot, muffling every sound. At first, it was rather lovely, threading between the trunks, watching the patterns of bare branches overhead, admiring the patches of snow still caught in the roots. But gradually, the light began to fail, and gradually, the mole found he was no longer quite sure which way he had come or which way he was going. The wind sighed through the branches. Somewhere far off, something snapped. The mole stood very still. It was all right, he told himself. He was only a little lost. And yet, his feet were unwilling to move. Then the snow began, soft, silent, falling without hurry, settling on everything equally. The mole tucked himself into the hollow of a tree and drew his knees up. He watched the world turn slowly white. The snow fell on, and the forest grew quieter and quieter still. After a time, footsteps came through the wood. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Mole, is that you? It was the rat. He carried a lantern, and his face was creased with worry. There you are. Oh, I am glad. He did not scold. He only came and stood close beside the mole, holding the lantern between them. Together they turned for home. Come, said the rat, let's get back. Then the mole's foot struck something beneath the snow. He stopped, reached down, brushed the snow away. An iron door scraper. They looked at one another. Then they began to dig. A step appeared, then another, then a low, rounded door, painted green with a small brass bell. The mole reached out and rang it softly. Ting. A long moment passed. Then a warm light appeared beneath the door, and slowly from within, the door swung open. End of Chapter 3. Chapter 4. Mr. Badger, beyond the door. In the doorway stood Badger, white-striped, broad-shouldered, solid as a stone. He blinked at them sleepily at first. Then his expression shifted. "Why, bless me! Come in, come in. Don't stand there in the cold." They were led along a long, low corridor, deeper and deeper into the warm earth. At the end of it was a room, a great fireplace, blazing with heat, high ceiling, stone floor, warm underfoot, a soft golden light reaching into every corner. "You'll be wet through. Sit down near the fire." Badger fetched blankets and settled them before the hearth. The mole held his hands toward the flames. The cold left him slowly, inch by inch. After a little while, the bell rang again. Badger opened the door. It was Otter, dripping wet, out of breath. "Frightful night, Badger. Might I stop a while?" "Of course," said Badger. "Come in." Supper, Badger's kitchen, was a wonder. A long table, wooden benches, worn smooth with years. Badger brought pot after pot, dish after dish, hot soup, fresh bread, butter, a deep pan of vegetables bubbling gently on the stove. They ate together. Outside, the wind moved through the trees, but here it could not reach them. The fire crackled, the smell of bread and warmth filled the room. After supper, Badger settled back in his chair and lit his pipe. "Now then," he said to the mole, in his slow, unhurried way, "tell me about today." The mole told him, the wood growing dark, the snow beginning, standing alone between the trees, and then the sound of the rat's footsteps coming. Badger listened without interrupting. "The wood can seem very large when you don't know it," he said at last. "But there is always a way home, always a door, somewhere." Otter had fallen asleep on the sofa. The rat was nodding. The fire burned on and on, the flames leaning gently this way and that. The mole closed his eyes. He was warm. He was safe. Deep underground, in this quiet and ancient place, he felt peculiarly as though he had always known it, as though he had always belonged here. Morning, when he woke, a small light moved at the end of the corridor. Badger, with a lantern, already about. "The snow is still deep above," he said, "but there are passages underground. I can take you part of the way home." They followed him through the long tunnels. The earth smelled of roots and winter. The floor was soft. The lantern cast long, slow shadows. Presently, a pale light appeared ahead. The outside world filtering through. They emerged into a white morning. Snow lay over everything. The wood was very still, and through the trees, the glint of the river. "Come back whenever you like," said Badger. When they turned to wave, the door had already closed. Only the green paint showed against the snow, quiet and waiting. End of chapter 4. Chapter 5. December. An open field. Late afternoon, turning to dark. It was winter. Mole and Rat had been out all day, visiting friends, far along the river. Now they were walking home through the darkening fields, their breath rising in small white clouds, frost beginning to crisp the grass beneath their feet. Rat walked a little ahead, humming quietly to himself. Mole followed behind, watching the last light leave the sky. And then Mole stopped. Something had reached him through the cold air, through the frost and the darkness. A scent. It was faint, almost nothing, and yet his body knew it before his mind did. Damp earth, old stone, the ghost of a hearth fire that had not burned for a very long time. His hearth fire, his stone, his home. Mole had lived beside the river for months now. He had not thought of his old house, not really, but his body had not forgotten. "Ratty," he said. "Wait a moment." But Rat was already some way ahead, still humming, still walking. Mole stood very still. The scent was here, beneath his feet, beneath the field. His old home, somewhere down there in the dark, was calling him. He tried to push it away. "It's late. We should get back. It doesn't matter. It was such a small place. It doesn't matter at all." But the feeling would not go, and quietly, without quite meaning to, Mole began to cry. It was Rat who noticed first. He had turned back to find Mole standing still in the field, shoulders shaking slightly. "Mole, whatever is the matter?" Mole shook his head. "Nothing. It's nothing. Let's go on." But his voice betrayed him. Rat came close and was very quiet for a moment. Then he said, gently. It's your home, isn't it? You can smell it from here. And at those words, something in Mole gave way entirely. He wept properly then, without pretending not to. "I'm sorry," he managed. "It's silly. It was only a little place, and it's been so long." "It isn't silly," said Rat. I said it firmly and kindly. "We're going back." Mole End. They retraced their steps through the dark. Mole's feet seemed to remember the way, even before his mind did, following the scent, through the frost, through the field. They pushed through low brambles. They ducked beneath winter branches, and there, half hidden by dead grass, a small wooden door, painted above it, in faded letters, Mole End. Inside, it was dark and cold, the air of a place that has been waiting for a very long time. Mole found a candle, lit it, and the small flame revealed a table, 2 chairs, a bookshelf, little paintings on the walls, hung there by Mole himself, years ago. Everything exactly as he had left it. "Here," said Mole, in barely a whisper. "This is it. This is my home." Rat said nothing. He had already moved to the hearth and was quietly laying a fire. They set to work together without needing to discuss it. Dust cloths shaken out, the table wiped down, the cupboard opened, tinned sardines, a packet of biscuits, an old tin of tea. Slowly, gradually, the little house began to warm, and then, from outside, voices, small, clear voices, coming through the cold air. Mole opened the door. A group of field mice stood outside in the lane, holding lanterns, their cheeks red with cold. They were singing an old winter song, the kind that has been sung for longer than anyone can remember. Mole stood in the doorway and could not move. Rat appeared at his shoulder. "You see," he said quietly, "coming home was exactly right." They invited the little mice in, poured hot tea, passed round the biscuits. The small house filled with warmth and noise and laughter. Much later, when the mice had gone home and Rat had dozed off in his chair, Mole sat alone by the fire and watched the embers. "I had forgotten this, how it feels to be in a place that is simply yours." He thought, perhaps a person can carry more than one home. Not a place exactly, but a warmth, a belonging, kept somewhere safe inside you for whenever you need it. A summer night, the river. That night, Rat could not sleep. Something was tugging at him, an unease he couldn't name. His friend Otter had come by at dusk, looking worried. "My boy hasn't come home," Otter said. "Little Portly. He went out this morning, and I haven't seen him since." Portly was young, curious, the sort of child who wanders just a little too far. Rat lay awake in the dark and could not rest. At 2 in the morning, he woke Mole. "Come with me," he said quietly. "We'll take the boat. We'll look for him." Mole sat up without a word and reached for his coat. They pushed off into the dark. The river was another world. At this hour, black water, stars reflected in it, trembling as the oars moved through. The air was cool and still, in a way that only the very early hours can be, as though the whole world had not yet remembered what it was supposed to be doing. They rowed without speaking. There was no particular direction, only the feeling that they were going the right way. It was Rat who heard it first. He stopped rowing. "Mole." "I know," said Mole. "I can hear it." From somewhere upstream, from somewhere that seemed both very close and impossibly far, music. It was like nothing either of them had heard before. Low, clear, a kind of piping, reeds perhaps, and yet not quite like any instrument they could have named. "Where is it coming from?" Mole whispered. Rat had already begun to row again, quietly, towards the sound. As they drew closer, something strange happened. Mole realized his eyes were wet. "I'm crying," he said, almost to himself. "I don't know why. I'm not sad." "No," said Rat softly. "Neither am I." In the middle of the river, there was a small island. Willow trees, long grass, the sound of water on all sides. The music came from here. They beached the boat and stepped ashore, through the grass, through the trees, following the sound, and then they stopped. There are moments that cannot quite be put into words. What Mole and Rat saw on that small island at the edge of dawn, it was something very old, something that had been here long before the river, long before the willows, long before any of them. It held a set of pipes, and at its feet, curled into the grass, breathing softly, quite unhurt, was Portly, fast asleep, the most deeply, peacefully asleep that a small creature can possibly be. Mole and Rat could not move. They could not speak. What they felt was not quite fear. It was something that lives on the other side of fear. Awe, a gratitude so large it had no edges. The eastern sky had begun to lighten, pale gray, then faint rose, then gold at the horizon. When Mole looked again, the island was empty, except for the two of them and the sleeping child. The music was gone. "What did we see?" Mole asked. Rat thought for a while. Then he said, "I think we may forget gradually by the time we reach home. I think that is a kindness," said Rat. They lifted Portly carefully. He did not wake. They carried him to the boat and rowed home through the beginning of the morning. Late summer, the river bank. Something had been unsettling Rat for several weeks. It had started small, a restlessness at the edges of his days. He would sit by the river and find himself staring downstream. Summer was folding itself away, and something in Rat wanted to follow. One afternoon, a stranger came along the lane, a large, weathered rat with a pack on his back. "I have just come from the south." He spoke of white harbor towns, of fishing boats at dawn, of cypress trees and olive groves. Rat listened, and as he listened, something shifted inside him, a door opening. "I want that. I want to go." The stranger went on his way, and Rat began to pack. Mole came in. "Ratty, what are you doing?" "Going south," said Rat. Mole took Rat's hands. He did not say anything. He just held on. Rat blinked. "Mole." "I'm here," said Mole. "I don't think I actually want to go," said Rat quietly. Mole went to put the kettle on. Rat did not go south, so he wrote it down. A poem about a journey he didn't take. The river ran past outside, quiet and steady. Both things were true, the longing and the belonging, both of them real. This is The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. A few quiet moments by the river.